Hola everybody, buenas tardes. Hope you are all having a wonderful day. Since we have early dismissal this week, I am going to be doing a video Spanish lesson with all of you today. So what that means is that I will be presenting the material through the video and a slideshow, and I'm asking that you listen, pay attention, participate, and also fill in your handout that you have while we go through the lesson. So before we get started with the lesson, let's all párense por favor. Let's all get ready to say our Padre Nuestro prayer. So everybody please stand up. All right, and let's begin. En el nombre del Padre, el Hijo y Espíritu Santo. Amén. Padre nuestro que estás en el cielo, santificado sea tu nombre. Venga tu reino. Hágase tu voluntad en la tierra como en el cielo. Danos hoy nuestro pan de cada día. Perdona nuestras ofensas, como también nosotros perdonamos a los que nos ofenden. No nos dejes caer en tentación y líbranos del mal. Amén. En el nombre del Padre, el Hijo y Espíritu Santo. Amen. All right, great. Now let's go ahead and siéntense and we can get started with our lesson. Okay, so as I mentioned last week, one of your assignments was to bring a Spanish notebook and folder or a binder, so that way you would be able to take a journal entry every single week. So we are going to start today's class by going over the journal entry that we're going to do, and we're going to get started with that and practice that because that's something that we're going to fill out every single week for the entire school year. So these are the journal entry questions that we're going to be answering every single week, and we are going to be answering these in full sentences every single week. So this is all from the handout that we learned or went over last week. So you should probably have your handout out so that way you can look at that and use that to help you with the journal entry. So before we get started actually writing in our answers, what I want to do is go through these questions and have all of you repeat the questions after me. I know it's a little bit awkward since I'm on a video, but I do want everybody in the class to repeat after me and practice saying these sentences, because if we can't speak in Spanish, there's not really too much of a point of learning the language. So everybody repeat after me as I say these different questions out loud. ¿Qué día es hoy? Try it one more time. ¿Qué día es hoy? Now repeat then. ¿Qué día es mañana? ¿Qué día es mañana? Repiten. ¿Qué día fue ayer? ¿Qué día fue ayer? ¿Cuál es la fecha? ¿Cuál es la fecha? ¿Qué estación es? ¿Qué estación es? ¿Qué tiempo hace hoy? ¿Qué tiempo hace hoy? All right, very good. So hopefully you all were repeating and participating in that. So now let's go through these, and today we're going to do the journal entry as a class. So you need to have your notebook open and have a fresh page, and we are going to go step by step answering each of these questions. So our first question is, ¿Qué día es hoy? So hopefully you remember that hoy means today. So what we're asking is, what day is today? ¿Qué día es hoy? Now, does anybody remember how we would say today is? Hopefully you remembered it would be hoy es, And then I'm assuming that you guys are having this class on Thursday. So if you're having it on a different day, please correct me and make the changes to the days. But if we're having class on Thursday, we would say hoy es jueves. Okay, so actually that should be our first sentence that we write in our journal. We're going to write today is Thursday. Hoy es jueves. So I want everybody to go ahead and write that down in their journal. Hoy es jueves. All right, so hopefully we've got that one. So again, we say, ¿Qué día es hoy? What day is today? And we answer with hoy es, and then the day of the week. Remember that the days of the week are not capitalized when we write them in Spanish, unless they are the start of a sentence. So hoy means today, es means is, hoy es, today is, and we have jueves, which is Thursday. All right, now we're going to move on to our next question. ¿Qué día es mañana? ¿Qué día es mañana means what day is tomorrow? ¿Qué día es mañana? So how would we say tomorrow is? I want you to try to write the answer to this question in your journal. What do you think you would write for tomorrow is Friday? So hopefully you wrote mañana es viernes. If you don't have this down, write this sentence because this is the second sentence in our journal entry. We're writing mañana es viernes. Once again, it's not capitalized. So we have mañana, tomorrow. Es is viernes, Friday. Once again, if you're doing this and it's not Friday, I want you to write the correct day in your journal entry. And once again, we're not going to capitalize viernes the way that we capitalize Friday. All right, so everybody should have written down now 2 sentences. They should have hoy es jueves and mañana es viernes, because we're answering the questions, ¿Qué día es hoy? What day is today? And ¿Qué día es mañana? What day is tomorrow? Now, our next question is, ¿Qué día fue ayer? ¿Qué día fue ayer? When we're looking at this one, we're asking, what day was yesterday? So remember, the first 2 questions, we said, ¿Qué día es? We were saying what day is. But now we're not saying is, we're saying was. So we're saying, what day was yesterday? ¿Qué día fue ayer? To answer this, we're going to say, ayer fue, and the day of the week that it was. In this case, miércoles. Ayer fue miércoles. So we have ayer means yesterday. Fue, was. So ayer fue, yesterday was. Miércoles, Wednesday. Once again, we're not going to capitalize miércoles, but we have ayer fue miércoles. Yesterday was Wednesday. So that should be your 3rd sentence in your journal entry, is yesterday was Wednesday. So far we have said today is Thursday, tomorrow is Friday, yesterday was Wednesday. Those are our first 3 sentences that we've written in our journal entry. So you guys should have these 3 sentences written. Hoy es jueves. Mañana es viernes. Ayer fue miércoles. All right, our next question is, ¿Cuál es la fecha? Think for a minute, what does la fecha mean? When we say, ¿Cuál es la fecha? We are asking, what is the date? So to say the date in Spanish, we are always going to start with the day first because the day is the shortest part of the date. So we say the day, then we say the month because the month is longer than the day, and then we say the year, the longest part. So in this case, we're going to say, hoy es el 30 de agosto 2018. That's what we're going to be writing as our sentence for sentence number 4 in our journal entry. You should all be writing this down. It's hoy es, today is, el 30, the 30th, de agosto, of August, 2018, 2018. So the formula for telling the date in Spanish is always going to be hoy es el, and then we put in our number, de, and then we put in our month, and once again, months are also not capitalized, and then we say our year, 2018. So we have hoy es el 30 de agosto, 2018. So remember that we start with the smallest, day, then the month, which is longer, and then the year, the longest part. That's how we can remember how to say the date in Spanish. So when we hear the question, ¿Cuál es la fecha? We're saying, what is the date? And we're going to say, hoy es el 30 de agosto 2018. Today is the 30th of August 2018. Our next question is asking about the estación. What is estación? So when we say, ¿Qué estación es? We are saying, what is the season? So remember, we have 4 different seasons, just like we do in English. And so in order to say the season is, we are going to say, la estación es, and then we're going to say the season. La estación es el verano. The season is summer. So everybody should write down in their journal entry, la estación es el verano. The season is summer. So everyone should write that as their next journal entry. La estación es el verano. So la estación is the season. Es means is, and el verano is summer. The season is summer. La estación es el verano. The other seasons that we have are otoño, fall, invierno, winter, primavera, spring. So once again, we should be writing in our journal entry, la estación es el verano. And next season, when we turn to fall, we will say, la estación es el otoño. All right, our last question for our journal entry is, ¿Qué tiempo hace hoy? When we ask, ¿Qué tiempo hace hoy? We are going to be talking about what is the weather like today. So your answers are going to vary for this question because I'm not sure what the weather is going to be like when you are watching this video on Thursday. But I want you to look outside, look out the window, and figure out what is the weather like today. And in your journal, I want you to write a sentence about the weather and what the weather is like today. So if you look at your handout that we completed last week, you should be able to say what the weather is like today using one of those phrases. So that's the last sentence that you're going to put into your journal entry is the weather, what the weather is like today. So we are answering, ¿Qué tiempo hace hoy? What is the weather like today? So go ahead and write a sentence for what the weather is like today. So that is how we are going to do our journal entry every single week. But as we get going, it should only take us a couple of minutes to do it very quickly. Obviously, this week it took a little bit longer because we're just learning how to do it. So when I see you next week, I'm going to be checking your journal entries to make sure that you did them correctly this week, and then we'll go ahead and do them again next week as well. So make sure that you have your journal with you and you have your journal entry complete, so that way I can give you points for that activity when I see you next week. All right, so the next part of our lesson today is going to be a review about los saludos, which are the greetings. So you guys have been learning the greetings in Spanish ever since you really ever started taking Spanish lessons. So this should be a really good review for you. So everybody should have a handout, and your handout should have los saludos on the one side, and so that's where we are going to start today. So before I go over any of this, I'm actually going to give you guys a couple of minutes to go ahead and fill in as many things as you know already under los saludos. So look through those, and I want you to take, let's say, 3 minutes to go ahead and fill in as many things as you know as you can fill out in the next couple of minutes. So go ahead and do that. I'm going to start my timer, so you have 3 minutes to go ahead and fill in as many saludos as you know from the handout that you should have received to fill out today. So go ahead and do that right now. All right, let's go ahead and pause there. Hopefully you went through and saw that you know or remember quite a lot of the saludos that you have on your handout. But so everybody, once again, should have this handout that they've been filling out. Now, what I did this year on our handout was I actually separated things to help you figure out where it belongs. So we have conversation starters, we have how are yous, who are yous, we have nice to meet yous, goodbyes, and gratitudes. So those are the different sections of our saludos. So if we break them into sections, the idea is that it's going to help us to actually be able to build conversations by each person using one of those different saludos from each of the sections as we ask questions and make conversation. So let's get started going over the different answers to what we have in on that page. All right, so we are starting with los saludos, our conversation starters. So I'm really hoping that all of you guys should have probably gotten these ones. But we have hola means hello. Buenos días is good morning. Buenas tardes is good afternoon. And buenas noches means good night, but it also can mean good evening. So we can say buenas noches if we're greeting somebody in the evening. So if we were having a conversation, we could use these different phrases to start that conversation. So in that case, it might be two people saying hello to one another. Hola, hola. Or maybe somebody says hello, hola, and the other person says good morning, buenos días. So we can use these words, these phrases, to start a conversation. So you should be filling this in as we go along, and I'm going to check this next week to make sure that you have everything filled in. Okay, next we have our how are yous. So when we talk about our how are yous, these are the types of questions and responses that we can use to ask somebody how they're feeling and to respond to that. So we have two different ways to say, how are you? We have, ¿Cómo está usted? Which is the formal way to say, how are you? When we talk to somebody in a formal way, we're asking somebody who's an adult or somebody we want to show respect to. ¿Cómo estás? Means, how are you? And when we say, ¿Cómo estás? We're being informal. So we're asking friends, family, or children. ¿Qué tal is another informal way to ask somebody what's up. So again, we would use this with our friends, our family, or our children, but we would not use this with our teacher or our principal or the priest. Estoy is how we say I am. So when we say estoy, we're going to be telling someone how we're feeling. So hopefully we know a lot of these. We have estoy bien, I am well or good. Estoy mal, I'm bad. Estoy triste, I am sad. Estoy enojado, I am angry. If you're a girl, you would say estoy enojada, I am angry. Because a girl, the adjective is going to change to have that A ending, since O is usually what goes with a boy. Estoy fantástico or estoy fantástica. I'm great. Estoy feliz. I am happy. Así así. I'm so-so. Regular is another way to say so-so. Yo también means me too. If we want to ask somebody, and you, how are you? ¿Y tú? So if somebody said, ¿Cómo estás? How are you doing? And I responded, Estoy bien. ¿Y tú? I'm saying, I'm good. And you? If we're talking to somebody using formal language, we would say, ¿Y usted? Because usted is the formal way to say you. So we would say, ¿Y usted? And you? So those are our words for how are yous. So when we talk about how are yous, we are talking about asking somebody how they're doing and then responding to that in a conversation. Now we have the who are yous. So just like with the how are yous, we have a formal and an informal way to ask somebody what their name is. For formal, we say, ¿Cómo se llama? ¿Cómo se llama? When we ask somebody what their name is, if it's informal, so we're asking a friend, a family member, or a child, we would say, ¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo te llamas? That's what's your name to a friend, a family member, or a child. Now, we also have 3 ways that we can respond to this question. All 3 ways work just the same to respond with introducing yourself to somebody. We can say, me llamo, my name is. Me llamo. We can say, soy, I am. Soy. And we can say, mi nombre es. My name is. So all 3 of these ways are ways that we can introduce ourselves. So I could say, me llamo Señorita Riley. Soy Señorita Riley. Mi nombre es Señorita Riley. All 3 of those work just fine to introduce yourself in the Spanish language. So far, we figured out how to start a conversation, how to ask somebody how they're doing and answer them if they ask us, how to ask somebody who they are, as well as how to introduce ourselves. So the next part of our conversation is going to be our nice to meet yous. So if we want to tell somebody it's nice to meet them, we are going to use our nice to meet yous under los saludos. So our first one is mucho gusto, which means nice to meet you. What it literally means is much pleasure. Mucho gusto. Gusto means pleasure. So mucho gusto means nice to meet you or much pleasure. Un placer is it's a pleasure to meet you. Placer means pleasure. So un placer means a pleasure to meet you. Encantado or encantada would be like, I'm charmed to meet you. So boys, you would say encantado. Girls, you would say encantada, charmed to meet you. Igualmente means likewise. So if somebody said, encantado, I'm charmed to meet you, you could say igualmente, which means likewise. The final part of our conversation that we might have is going to be our goodbyes. So the goodbyes are how we're going to end our conversation. Ciao means goodbye. Ciao. Hasta luego means see you later. See you later. Hasta luego. Hasta pronto means see you soon. Hasta pronto. Hasta mañana means see you tomorrow. Hasta mañana. Buenas noches, we said earlier, could mean good evening if you are starting a conversation, but it can also mean good night if you are ending one. Buenas noches. Nos vemos means we'll see each other. Nos vemos. And obviously, I hope you all know, adios means goodbye. Adios. So those are the components of our saludos to have a basic conversation. But there's 3 more words that we're going to go over. Once again, I'm hoping you remember these. These are our gratitude words. So we have por favor, please. Gracias, thank you. De nada, you're welcome. So these are our gratitude words that we can use whenever we want to say please, thank you, and you're welcome. Por favor, gracias, de nada. So those are the saludos that we are going to go over today. So what I want you to do for homework is to write a conversation. And in your conversation, you are going to have 2 different people talking. And I want you to use words and phrases from each of the different sections to make a conversation that makes sense. And you can do this right in your journal, and I'm going to check them next week. So next week when I see you, I'm going to check to make sure you did your journal entry. I'm going to check to make sure that you filled out the Los Saludos handout, And I'm going to check to make sure that you wrote a conversation using the saludos, and you should do that right in your notebook. So that's it for Spanish today. Hopefully you enjoyed our lesson. I will see you next week. Adios.